Hello chess family, it's me National Master Jesse James. Today we're going to be taking a look at rule number 12. Trade as many pieces as possible, especially the queens. In this game we're going to be seeing Morphy playing with the white pieces against Augustus. And he's just going to be winning a pawn out of this out in the opening. Not very difficult for him to win this pawn, mind you. But again, the point is, whenever you get a win of a pawn, start making trades. Now it's important to mention, whenever you're making your trades, try to trade the big pieces, not the pawns off. Because remember, in the end game, the easiest end games to win are going to be king and pawn end games. And well, if you trade off all your pawns, well, you're going to be giving yourself less chances to actually win that king and pawn end game, because each one of those pawns can become a queen. So whenever you're up in material, such as a pawn, go and start making trades, especially the queens. And yeah, let's see how Morphy gives us a master lesson with this one. We start up with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, the Italian opening, knight f6, the two knights defense, properly named, and here he goes for knight g5, the knight attack. Here the f7 pawns attack. You'll see this in many games with the scholastic players, and well, there's only one good way to defend. Black has to play d5 here, and we're going to go and take with the pawn here, and knight e5, of course. For those of you fried liver lovers, of course you don't play knight takes d5, as it is well known here. Knight takes on f7, exclam, king takes, and now white plays queen f3 check. The only way to not lose the knight, since it is being double attacked, is to go ahead and play king e6, and with the king in the center board, white has plenty of compensation. In fact, in one of the later games we'll take a look at, Morphy actually does get this kind of position. I'll probably be doing opening series over this too. Alright, so back to the game. After pawn takes here, knight e5 gets played, which is a very good move. Modern day, everyone now plays the bishop to b5 check variations, and yeah, these are very good. You know, white gets a good game. It's not really in my style. It does make black the aggressor in this game for a pawn, and if it's up to me, I'd rather be aggressor. You know, keep your pawn. I just want to be able to attack my opponent or keep putting pressure on them. So bishop b5 is not the way I would like to play this, although I wouldn't play this line to begin with. Instead, this is the old line where white just plays pawn to d3. The idea being, well, if you go ahead and take, we still have the same kind of idea. We could do like the knight takes f7 idea. We could just play queen f3 here for the double attack. We can also take a look if knight takes on c4. Well, now white is just going to be up a clear extra pawn because d takes c4, and now this pawn is being defended by another pawn. And so white's just clearly better here. So black needs to find something to do. In this game, black chooses the first move correctly, h6. Where do we move our knight to? Simple chess. Let's go ahead and just move it back. Be careful. If you thought about playing knight to e4, oh, you just lost a piece. Do you see it? What would black play here to win? Yeah, he would just play knight takes e4, pawn takes, and now this bishop's no longer being defended. Knight takes on c4. Be careful. Simple chess is always best. Let's just bring the knight back to f3 right here. And now black played bishop g4, which is a mistake here. Remember, white's already looking for trades here, so the more trades, the better. Right here, white would like to take the pawn on e5, being up two pawns, especially center pawns, would just be gravy here. So, well, we got to get rid of this bishop. What do we play here? Let's try to get out of this pin. Yeah, let's just go ahead and play pawn h3 to attack the bishop. And here, black is pretty much forced to take. Now, if the bishop does go to h5, what do you play here to get to an easily winning position? It looks a little scary, but it is okay to do it here. Yes, we're going to go ahead and play pawn to g4 here, and after the bishop moves back to g6, the knight takes on e5. Yes, we do have rules. Try not to move pawns in front of your king, but we're up two extra pawns here. The knight's very well placed, and who said we had to castle kingside? We can still castle queenside at our leisure, and again, white's just up too much material here. This is another easily winning position here for white. So this is why black is all but forced to go ahead and take. Which way do we take back? Of course with the queen. There's no reason why we should give ourselves double pawns. Black goes ahead and plays bishop d6. Of course he wants to get ready to castle, so he brings out the bishop. And now a simple move by Morphy here. White is up in material, so they're going to be looking for trades, and of course trying to stop their opponent from the best idea. Black definitely wants to castle. If castles happens, Morphy will still be winning, but why give your opponent such an easy position? Let's try to put pressure on them as much as possible. What are some moves here you should be looking at? Well, for those who just want to play a nice simple game, knight c3, maybe developing the bishop out. Of course, castling is a good idea. But here, again, try to look for the forced moves. Try not to let your opponent castle. Here, Morphy plays bishop to b5 check. And, well, at this point, black is in some trouble here. In fact, the top move by computer is just to go ahead and play king e7. So something's definitely wrong with this. Is there a reason why black just can't play knight to d7? Well, here, again, you look for those double attacks. Morphy's looking for trades here. Here you can see about this nice move, queen g4, looking to trade the queens on d7, but also attacking the pawn on g7. You can't really defend both. So either way, black is not going to be castling this game, at least if he's playing a strong opponent. So, after the bishop went to b5 check, black just blunders here, and now Morphy grabs another pawn. Pawn c6, simple chess. We have 1, 2, 3 attackers, and black only has 1, 2 defenders for c6. Free money, as I like to say. Takes, takes. Bishop takes check. Knight takes, queen takes check. And again, black cannot castle. Here he goes ahead and plays king e7. This may look like a strange move, but if you give it some thought, it's actually a pretty good pragmatic move here. Remember, black wants to get the rook into the game, and he has to do what's called castling by hand. So he wants to put the rook over to e8 and then bring the king to f8. Notice if you did play your king to f8 right away, well, now you can't bring your rook into the game. You have to play the pawn up, and it's going to take a lot longer. Also, well, we can't block with any piece here. If the knight comes back, free money. The bishop on d6 is undefended. Let's see. If they play queen d7, again, free money. Now the rook is undefended. Okay, so what do we do? King e7, the best practical choice. At this point, this is a hard time for a lot of chess players. What do I do next? What would you do in this situation if you're playing white? Well, hopefully you play the same move that Morphy does. But I hear a lot of people telling me I'd probably go check here. I'd probably be looking to castle. These are two good ideas, although I will say the queen b7 check idea is a little greedy. At this point, you can try to capture something. I mean, look, everything's being defended here now, so it's really hard to continue the attack. And, well, the queen can never checkmate by herself, so you're never going to be able to really make any really good threats. You're only going to be helping out your opponent develop the pieces. So here what you need to do is keep developing your pieces, because look at this. These guys are all asleep over here. So if you just play nice and standard, which is develop the rest of your pieces, make some trades, you're going to get an easy win here. You can overcomplicate if you want to, but remember, with more complications, the more chances you can lose the game. Keep it simple. Here I love the way Morphy plays, knight c3. Why knight c3 instead of castles? Well, at this point, black does have a nice little threat. He wants to play rook c8. Not only does it attack the queen, it's actually attacking the undefended pawn on c2. This is a skewer, right? So, simple chess, let's develop a piece, develop knights before bishops, and also go ahead and get ready to castle, and get ready for the queen to move away. Now c2 is no longer a target. Black, of course, plays what we think he's going to play. Rook c8. Where do we move the queen now? Two good squares here. But again, I do like the way Morphy plays. What would you play here? Again, I hear you, queen b7 check, people. It's okay. Remember, you can win with just the queen. Rook c7 here, and the only thing you're doing is helping black get his pieces to better squares. Maybe queen a6, trying to attack a pawn. Listen, you've already got enough of the material. The things you need now is development for your pieces. So queen a6 is a move. The queen's a little weirdly placed over there, so I don't like it as much. Again, the queen can become a target after like queen d7. Maybe I can harass your queen even more. And I don't want my queen being chased around. So again, I like the way Morphy plays. Queen f3. The queen just comes back to its side of the board. Remember, from 4 and back, this is white's territory. 5 and back, this is black's natural territory. So queen f3, let's just go ahead and develop our pieces. Later on, we'll mount another attack. We've already got enough material. Right now, develop and get your king to safety. That is the most important thing here. Rook e8. Of course, black wants to finish his last piece development, bring his king back to f8, doing castling by hand. Let's go ahead and castle. King back to f8. What's the next piece we want to move here for white? Of course, it's this dark square bishop. There's two good squares to move it to. I like the way that Morphy plays again, although maybe I would have played it to this other square. Where would you play it to? I hear a lot of people saying bishop e3 right now to attack the pawn, develop the threat. This move is okay. The problem is that, well, black will push this pawn forward, and, well, think about your rooks. Where are they going to be placed at? It's not too sure. Most likely the rooks will go to e1 to attack, but now you'll see the bishop's in the way. So Morphy just pragmatically plays bishop to d2. And, well, black was already in a tough position, but makes his game worse. He probably should have just played something like king g8. And the best thing for him is to try and attack on the queen side, because you got some undefended pawns over here. You got some natural pieces coming over here anyways. I definitely would have recommended that, or king to g8. Fortunately for him, g5. Now we have king side weaknesses. If you know anything about Morphy, here he comes. He's going to attack this king. g5 is the weakness. How do you put pressure on this g5 pawn? This is a very nice attacking idea. What would you play? Well, hopefully you found it. This is a really cool idea. Here, the best way to attack a pawn is to use a pawn. Here we go. Pawn to h4. What a nice move. Here, of course, we're attacking on g5. And it's not so simple to defend. I mean, well, can we take it? You can, but uh-oh, you just dropped another pawn over here in check. And now this king side is no more. You'll win the h4 pawn at some point, and the king is going to have to run back toward the center. Going over this way just looks suicidal as well. This is a checkmate square right here, and the bishop and queen are both already looking and eyeing at this square. So we definitely don't want to take g4, try and get a tempo off the queen. Don't forget, it is a check, so again, we're going to win the pawn. The king will go somewhere around there. What else can we do? Yeah, black just goes ahead and just defends. Knight to h7. Let's put pressure on this knight, put our queen to a better square, and put pressure on g5. g5 is the new weakness that we are now targeting. Queen went to f5, attacking the knight, and g5. Black played king g7 to defend the knight. Now g5 is being defended quite a few times. Well, we don't want to let this pawn fall for no reason, so pawn takes, pawn takes. And now, what's the next thing we should do? Definitely, we need to get our rooks into the game. The knight and bishop have already been moved once. Don't move the same piece twice without a good reason. And here we need to get the rooks into the game. Where's the best place for them? Hint, rooks like open files, right? They move up and down, so open files make sense. So where should you place them? Here, a lot of people get this answer wrong because they don't consider ideas that they can't get to right away. A lot of people here are saying rook e1. Although rook e1 is a move, it's a half open file because there's a pawn in the way. It's definitely not the best because pragmatically speaking, you're not really going to attack the pawn just yet. The pawn is being defended by the bishop, and, well, rook takes is, you know, this pawn's already over defended. You can even play f6 if you really want to. Where's the open file on the board? It's the h file. Well, I can't get to the h file. Well, then make a plan. What do you play here to get your rook over to the h file? Should take about 2 or 3 moves. Feel free to press pause if you want to. All right, here it is. Simple chess. Pawn g3. We're going to play our pawn up, king up, and then slide our rook over. Nothing too hard about that. White's in a winning position here, so there's no big hurry, as black's pieces aren't really doing anything or attacking any of our undefended pieces. Black played f6, and now we continue with our plan. King g2, rook to h8. Let's slide the rook over to h1. Rook c7. Black is already anticipating threats against this knight. All right, what's the next thing we need to do? We've got this one rook in the game, but don't forget about your other one. Where's the best place for this rook? Again, I hear some people saying rook e1. Rooks like open files. And right now, there's only one open file. And again, you're like, well, there's a rook already there. We get to do what's called a battery. We're going to put 2 of the rooks on the same file here so they get ultimate control over this open file. Remember, trades are good for us, so White's very happy with this. Rook h2, queen c8. A lot of my students, not paying attention to their opponent's moves, will play rook h1 immediately, and I gladly go ahead and take their queen and say, after every move, ask yourself, what is my opponent's threat? Well, do we want to trade queens here? Remember the name of this game. Trade as many pieces as possible, especially the queens when you're up in material, such as a pawn. So, of course, Morphy's happy to trade. Queen takes. Rook takes, double up rooks. The knight's now being attacked. And, well, we don't want to put the rook into a pin, so knight f8 gets played. But again, Morphy keeps forcing trades here. How do we get some more trades in this position? What would you play here as white? Hopefully you found the move. Remember, when we're looking for trades, we're usually looking for even trades or ones that are better for us, right? Winning up the exchange, such as a knight for a rook or a bishop for a rook. In this case, we're just looking for even trades here because the more trades we get, the easiest endgames to win are king and pawn endgames. I'll be doing the Dvoretsky endgame series, and you can even learn how to play and assess these positions correctly. All right, what's the move? Knight to b5 here, attacking both the rook and the bishop. Well, you don't want to lose your bishop, so what do we play? Should we defend it with d7 or c6? Little moves like this, a lot of people will blunder. Rook c6, yes, this does defend the bishop, but knight takes a7, and now you're going to be losing the exchange and the pawn. So you have to play rook to d7. Notice here, the rook can take on c2, but this just does not work out. It's because after you take the bishop, you're also making another threat to attack the rook. Oof. And after the rook, I guess, maybe moves over to c6 to attack, bishop b4, and you're not losing a piece anytime soon. Okay, so rook d7 was played. We played knight b5 to make a trade, so we make a trade. And then here, rook takes c6. With this move, black went ahead and resigned because more and more trades were going to be forced. What do you play here to get another trade? Simple chess. Bishop to b4, attacking the rook, skewering it because we can take the knight. At this point, resignation hand. Some people may think this is a bit premature, but if you calculate, you'll see that this is not a bad idea at all to give up, especially when you're playing someone of Morphy's caliber. For instance, let's just go ahead and move this rook somewhere. Let's go to c6 to put pressure. Here, another trade. Bishop takes, and then, well, gosh, do we take back with the king or the rook? If you play king takes, well, oh, happy day. Rook check here, we're going to make another trade, so it's going to be another piece off the board, and it's going to be rook versus rook. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns, and black only has 1, 2, 3, 4. It means we're going to be able to make 2 pass pawns. 1 is enough to win. 2 is just insanity. So maybe we'll take with the rook. Oof, even worse. Rook h7 check gets played, and you have to play king to g8. Wait, why do I have to play king g8? Well, if you play king to g6, you're going to get checkmated. It's forced mate in 2 here. Can you find it? All right, when you're trying to get checkmate, you always look for your opponent's escape square. In this case, where is the escape square at? Of course, it's on f5. So here we would simply play pawn g4, and there's no way to stop the rook coming to h6 for checkmate. Let's see here. Yes. Yeah, there's just no other variations that are going to be good. Again, if you play the king back to g8, then rook h8 check gets played. Maybe king g7 or king f7. It really doesn't matter. Rook h7 check. I guess the king... Oh, gosh. Yeah. More pawns are falling. Things are just going to go even worse. So resigning at that point was not a bad idea. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this game. Remember, whenever you up a material such as a pawn, go and start making even trades. Try to trade out the big pieces, not the little ones, okay? Remember, the big pieces are going to be knights, bishops, rooks, and queens. Try to keep as many pawns on the board because you need these guys to turn into queens. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.